Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner. And this is my review for Insecure Season 2 Episode 4, Hella LA. So, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Y'all already know I want y'all to subscribe. Y'all already know that subscriptions don't cost anything. Y'all already know that I want you to like my video. And y'all already know that y'all can share my video. And lastly, y'all already know there's a comment section in the bottom where you can put your comments and be respectful to everybody commenting. So, that's out the way, right? Anywho, so the episode does start off. That was a quick run through, wasn't it? Yep, I just had to change it up a little bit. So yeah. The episode starts off with it's Issa, Molly, and Kelly. I guess they're at Molly's house, and they're getting ready to go to this little party thingy or whatever. And you know, Molly's taking all day to get dressed, and they're basically, like, where's that accent coming from? They are basically waiting on Molly to come around and so they can leave. And so while Molly's getting dressed, Kelly and Issa's having a conversation. And Issa like, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to meet up with a new boo, another person that she's met on this Tinder app. Named Felix, yes, like the goddamn gone cat. And, you know, Kelly like, oh, Felix, goddamn cat name. You want to fuck a cat? And she's like, no, but you know, he's someone new, so I want to meet him at this party, but I didn't want to meet him somewhere by myself. So that's why I'm going to meet him here. So just in case it doesn't work out, there's other guys there that I can talk to. So Kelly's also like, we know, what about Neighbor Boo? Of course, we know she fucked Neighbor Boo in the last episode. He was a cute little Neighbor Boo. Very inexperienced Neighbor Boo, because he has about titty fucking Neighbor Boo. But, you know, she's like, yeah, I'm still keeping him around, you know, here and there. And that's another reason why I didn't want to meet Felix. Power was going in front of my face. I didn't want to meet Felix at my house because, of course, I got Neighbor Boo there. And, you know, Issa basically trying to get her roster going. You know, everybody who go through their whole phase, you know what I'm saying, like to have options, you know? You have a few people that you can call in case you want to do some things. So, Issa trying to get her roster up. We know Issa has been in a relationship with Lawrence for about 5 years. They have been apart about 3 to 4 months. So, she's trying to get her game up, you know, get her starting line up, you know, get the 5 starting players on her basketball team that she's trying to get down with. So, we know she has Neighbor Boo, and I guess now she's trying to add Felix Boo to the camp. So, yeah, they're going to there. So, that was the beginning scene. Next, we do see, you know, Lawrence is basically at his house. He finally, yes, Lawrence is no longer homeless. He's no longer a scrub. He has his own place where he can live and take showers. And he's getting dressed. And we see his friend, Chad. Chad is the funny friend that he got who I always laugh when he on the screen and everything. So, Chad's calling because they all supposed to be hanging out. And it was a third friend who was supposed to be coming, and Chad like, fuck that shit, you know what I'm saying? He's a hothead. I don't want to have the same situation we had last time with a fight at Chipotle. Who the fuck fights at Chipotle? But he like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, don't include him. So Lauren's like, okay, cool, I'll meet you there. Next we see Issa and the ladies. They get to this party. And it looks like it's a lit party, you know what I'm saying? And Issa walk in and Sherry looking at the cute guys in there. Because again, Issa trying to get her dang on numbers up or numbers down. I don't know which way she's trying to go. And they're basically, you know, looking for the table, which is in the back. Because at this part, well, you know what? At any party you go to, when you reserve a table, you know, you got to get to your table because if there's no seats to sit around, you look like a lame. So, you know, they do have a table at this particular party, and it's cool. So when they get to their seats, it's all the way in the back. Away from the dance floor, it's just all the way in the back. But at least they have a goddamn on table. So as they're standing around, we see Molly's friend, Dro, is there. So he like, yeah, hey ladies, you know, y'all like Destiny's Child. And Kay like, well, who's Michelle? And they kind of giggle a little bit, and they're like, Issa is Michelle, which is the funny part. He mentioned he got some chicken fingers to some kind of chicken at his table. So Molly like, all right, y'all, I'm out. We ain't got food here. I'm going to his table. And, you know, she goes with him because that's her friend from high school. And then, you know, saying the same thing that happened at any club. When you have your own table and there's some seats open, people try to come and sit down, even though it ain't their goddamn table. And they like, no, ma'am, not this one. Shoe fly shoe. So when the girls try to come and sit down, they like, y'all ain't paying for this table, bye-bye. And, of course, the girls walk away. We then see that Kelly sees some guys, and she kind of walks away as well to go get her some fun. And then it's just Issa left at their table. And as she's standing there Who does she see across the room? She sees Daniel. Yes, sexy ass Daniel from last season, the one that Issa fucked on the couch in the studio after they was all smoking weed. And you can't tell me that from that episode Issa ass wasn't hot. Because you can't be in the hot box closed room with people who smoking weed and you don't get a contact high. So yeah, she sees Daniel sitting across the room. And of course she gets nervous as fuck. So from there we see, next scene we see Lawrence. And he's sitting in traffic, and he's tired of sitting in this traffic, and he see a couple cars, bust an illegal U-turn. So what does little dumb Lawrence do? He busts an illegal U-turn as well. And he gets pulled over by the cops. Yes, Lawrence gets pulled over by the police. And of course, this is in LA. So, when he gets pulled over, of course he gets nervous. So when he was driving, he was bumping some, some like ghetto type music, some black type music, some hood type music. But what does Lawrence do when he gets pulled over? Lawrence cuts the radio down. He puts on some nice little Gentile music that white folk might like a little better. And that might just not make it seem like he this ghetto person riding around bumping loud music, making illegal U-turns and stuff like that. And when the cops come to the car, they're like, you're in a rush? And he's like, no. And they're like, well, you must be to bust that illegal U-turn. He was like, well, no, I didn't know it was illegal because I saw the other cars doing it too. Meaning, why you pulled me over? Because two cars right before me did the exact same thing. But you pulled my black ass over is what he was trying to say. So they're like, well, whatever. Is this your car? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, where you going? He's like, to the grocery store. And he's like, license and registration. So Lawrence, of course, gives him the license and registration. And the one cop walks away. And Lawrence, is doing different stuff in the car. And he's like, keep your hands where I can see him. Which, of course, makes Lawrence nervous. My button's crazy. Makes Lawrence a little bit nervous and everything as the cops are checking him out. So the cop does come back to his car. He's like, I'm going to let you off for the warning. But I should give you a ticket. And he's like, wait, yeah, what? And it's because the cop went to the rival school of Lawrence's bumper sticker. And he's like, yeah, we beat y'all last year, and Lawrence is like, yeah, y'all did beat us. And for me, that was a little, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So the whole police brutality, y'all did beat us a lot last year, and you're probably going to keep beating people until things get better. So I like how that was kind of a funny way to have a black person in a weird situation with a white cop saying that we beat y'all last year. But it also kind of shows that not all cops are racist. Not all cops are going to pull you over and be assholes and give you bukus of tickets or pull you out your car over some bullshit. Yes, it was done for the cop to say, is this your car? As if a black man can't have a nice car. But not only that, as if it wasn't his car, he's going to say, well, no, officer, it's not my car. I stole it and I'm a thief and you should arrest me. But, he got off, no ticket, no warrant for his arrest, nothing. He got off scot-free and he didn't get beat up. So, bravo, bravo, bravo to that whole scene. So, the next scene that we see is Issa telling Molly that she saw Daniel. And, she doesn't know how to deal with it. I'm not trying to have this bullshit. So Molly like, well, look, let me know what you're trying to do because I just need to know how drunk I can get. That's what a friend says, because when you and your friend are at a party and one of y'all see an ex, if I have to be sober enough to check him, or if I have to be sober enough to make y'all not get into it, let me know. If some shit might pop off, let me know, because that means I can't get drunk because I have to have a clear head. However, if you can handle it yourself and you're okay with seeing this person, then I can get as drunk as I want to get. And that's what Molly was trying to figure out. And it's like, no, I'm going to handle like an adult. I'm just going to walk up and talk to him. And, I'm going to get it handled. So, she does walk up to Daniel. And it was a very, very, very awkward conversation. Again, she's like, I just thought I would come over and say hi. He's like, hey. She's like, yeah, I guess we should just talk. And he's like, no, we don't really have to. She was like, no, I just want to say, I shouldn't have done what we did, meaning we shouldn't have fucked, and I shouldn't have said what I said. I should have handled it different. And he's like, well, that was a few months ago, so it doesn't really matter. Everything's cool. And she's like, oh, okay. And like I said, it was just an awkward conversation to where she was trying to talk about it. He kind of wasn't. It wasn't like an animosity type of situation. It was just very awkward. You know, it's awkward to have a conversation with somebody you went off on. I remember when an ex pissed me off, and I just said, you know, I don't even want you to die or nothing. I just need you to like just disappear from my reality. Like, just go the fuck away. And that was my way of saying, you know, just get the fuck, you know, you were nothing to me and I just don't need you around, basically. Like, you know, go away. And later on, when I saw that person, I was like, you know what, that was a little mean. You know, it's cool, we cool. If I see you, I'm not like wishing you to just disappear. You know, it's fine. So I can kind of get that awkward conversation to where you said something kind of mean to somebody you slept with, and at this point in time, you're not feeling that way anymore. Not even that you like want to be back with them, but you're just not like, you ain't shit, get out my face. It was nothing anymore. So I thought that was cool. So, you know, they had that awkward conversation, and they both went their separate ways, and at least they can both be in this party, and it won't be like weird to see each other because they've had this conversation. So the next thing we see is Lawrence is at the supermarket, because as he said to the police, he's going to the supermarket, to the grocery store, and he can't find his debit card. Why can't he find his debit card? Because when he was getting put over by the police and he had to pull his license out, he when the card with a card fell out of his wallet. So I'm like, it must be his debit card. So he's like, oh damn, you know, I can't find my card, you know, talking to the cashier, like, well, can you just hold this? I'm going to run home and find my card and come back and get it. And so there happened to be two Caucasian ladies behind him who's like, oh, you know, we can cover it. And he's like, oh, you know, no, you don't have to. No, that's okay. I just can't find my card. And they're like, no, you know, it's fine. What's it, like $15? And the lady's like, no, it's $45. And they're like, oh, well, no, you know, we can get it. And he's like, oh, okay. So we see him walking out with his bag because these two Caucasian women has paid for his stuff. And then as he's walking to his car, they're like, hey. And he turned around. He's like, oh, hi, you know, thanks for getting my stuff. Basically, they stalked him outside. That's what I'm going to say he did. You know, they're little stalkers. And they're like, doesn't he look like... And then named a random person, and the name did sound black. And she's like, yeah, he does look like that person. So, you know, what are you going to do with all that, you know, all that beer and stuff? He's like, oh, well, I was going to hang out with my boy. You know, we was hanging out today. And they're like, oh, too bad, you know, that you're going to have to be with them. And he's like, well, you know, I don't have to be with him. You know, I can do something else. Meaning, if y'all want to hang out, I can hang out. The scene ends right there. Wait till we get back to that. So we get back to Issa at this party, and she's done with talking to Daniel. Now she's texting Felix, you know, the feline cat, about them meeting up because he was supposed to be at this party. So, you know, Felix comes up, you know, gives a little hug, and he's been a little weird ass asshole, you know. He's like, oh, hey, Issa, you look different from your picture. Is your hair different? And she's like, well, yeah, I like to switch it up. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, well, yeah, do you ever switch it back? Bitch, what? You know, I mean, you barely say hello to me. Bitch, what? Is what have been my response. But you know what? That's also a reason, like, on my social media, I post myself in every hairstyle with my hair is up in a bun, down. I've had braids before. Hell, I even post photos like when I first wake up in the morning. So no one can ever say, you don't look how you look on social media. Yes, the fuck I do every day. If you see Jay Lee in public, I probably have a bun with my sunglasses and I look exactly the same. But for him, he was an asshole about it. And he's like, well, you know, okay. And so then they were talking and everything. He's like, does your voice always sound like that? And she's like, oh, well, you know, I had a cold, so maybe my voice just sounds a little different. I mean, he was just a complete asshole the whole time. First, her hair don't look the same. Now her voice is aggravating. But, bitch, you ain't even been talking to her for not more than 30 seconds. So how do you know? I mean, if she didn't look, her face looks the same. You know what I'm saying? I also feel like that's the reason why sometimes if you meet somebody on social media, y'all should, like, video chat or something so that you can really see what they look like before you go out and meet them, and also you can hear their voice, because what if they do sound like a damn alien or like a monster? You might not want to deal with that in real life. Plus, I don't think the first time you should meet somebody face to face should be in person, because people sometimes don't look like who they are in person. And plus, in this day and age of social media, hell, between Skype FaceTime, you got Glide where you can video message. Hell, you know, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook stories, all that stuff for its video where you can actually see a person, you know, and see if that's them. And if you don't believe with that person, you be like, hey, I don't know if it's really you, so I need you to hold up today's paper and a fork and put the fork. We do dumb stuff like that with people I meet. I'm like, no, I need to know if it's you. So yeah, hold up today's paper or write this note on a piece of paper and hold it up so I can be sure it's you in actual time. Because, you know, people be catfishing. And, you know, you just never know if somebody is not sharing other people's stuff on, like, Instagram. And you don't know if it's really them. So that's just my point of view. I get all off topic, Lord Jesus. So anyway, you know, he's just kind of like not liking how she look and how she sound. He's like, well, you know what? My friends are over there, so I'm going to go talk to them. And he basically just walks away from her and like, I'll talk to you later, bye, and like leaves her. Bitch, what? And Felix, you weren't even that cute, homie. But that's neither here nor there. So after that awkward situation, who do we see notice the whole situation? Daniel. Daniel was like a little bit across the way, and he's looking over and he saw that it happened. He kind of smiles and smirks a little bit. And I would have been like, don't be laughing at me. That ain't funny. I'm sorry, my eye itches. So we see that whole thing happen. Next, we see Molly and her old friend, Dro. You know, they were sitting at the table and they were talking or whatever. And he's picking out different guys that she can dance with or date or whatever. And she's shooting him down like, no, I don't like him for this reason. No, for that reason. And, you know, she says how all the guys she's dated, you know, it always ends the same way. So she's trying to do something different and kind of let things flow. You know, and it was like, okay, cool or whatnot. So then a little bit later, we see that Molly and Dro on the dance floor. And they dancing and stuff. And they, you know, remembering when they were younger in high school or in college. And how they would have dance-offs and who won the dance-offs. And at first they was all, you know, getting out. And it was real funny, real cute, real friendly like. All of a sudden, juvenile slow motion come on. Now look, this is my point of view. I feel like you and your friend who's married should not dance off slow motion. I'm like, no, that song, you know, keep working that back. No, that's not a friendly ass song. I'm not dancing with not none of my friends off that dang on song. I'm not even gonna dance with my girls on that song because that's a very sexual song. It is. If you know the words, you know what I mean. But, you know, they were kind of dancing together. And then you know, they got closer together. At one point, her ass was on his dick and stuff. And, you know, he had his hands on her waist. And it got a little bit too friendly. And Molly noticed it was a little bit too friendly. And she kind of, you know, backed away from it. And, you know, for me, that was red flags all over the place. Red flag, flag on play. Just stop it. And, you know, she's like, you know, I don't think your wife would like this. You know, we can't be this close. This is just different. And then he lets it be known that they actually have an open marriage. Yeah, open marriage. Polygamy. Well, not polygamy. Open marriage, basically. Meaning they are married, but they're free to see other people, as he told her. And she's like, what? But you guys are married in a church. And he's like, well, yeah, we were. We've been doing this for about a year. It's what works for us. We weren't happy, you know, with it just being us. We feel like one person can't be everything to one other person, so we have an open marriage. I'm like, damn, really? Okay. So the next thing we see is Lawrence at his house with the two chicks. Now, for me, that is a news story that's waiting to happen. 2 white girls murdered, 2 white girls raped, 2 white girls molested or harassed by black men they helped at a grocery store. That kind of shit happens. You try to do something nice and you never know a person's intentions, like at all. And I'm just a firm believer that you should not bring strangers back to your crib, especially not 2 strange white women. Not in 2017, not in America, no ma'am, no sir, no thank you. Plus, I kept thinking in the back of my head, how old is these girls? Like, are they legal? Did you check their ID? Because as we know, the women these days, the kids these days could be 16 and they can look 35. So, did you check their ID, Lawrence? Did you make sure they are of legal age? Because they in the store paying for adult people's stuff. How do we know they're not, you know, freshly out of high school, Lawrence? Be smart, Lawrence. Don't be dumb, Lawrence. So, they dancing around asking him if he liked The Weeknd. And for me, that's a childish question to answer. Like, you like The Weeknd? I mean, what? Wow, did he play at your high school prom? That's what I kept thinking. So the one girl is dancing around or whatever, and Lawrence texts Chad like, hey, I got these two girls here. I'm not going to make it. I think one of them like me. And the one girl like, well, who are you texting? He like, oh, this is my friend. She then picks up his phone, licks Lawrence's face, takes a picture of it, and sends it to his friend Chad. First of all, bitch, don't put your mouth on me. Don't lick me. How do I know that you ain't got mono? I ain't trying to be out in these streets with herpes like Usher. Don't put your mouth on me. I don't know you. And I'm just not a fan of people licking my face. That's just a little weird. So, his friend texts back like, nigga. Because to him, he like, you met these two white chicks at the damn grocery store. Now they back at your house and one chick is actually licking you. That's just something different. So, the one girl like, you know what? I like you. She then gets on top of Lawrence and they're kissing. The other white girl walks up and kisses the other white girl. Then all of a sudden, it's a motherfucking threesome. Yes, it was a threesome. Pause that for a second. We're going to come back to that story. Next, we see Molly telling the girls that Dro has this open marriage. And they're like, what? Really? And she's like, yeah, supposedly for a year. And I think Kelly's like, I thought that was for white people. Now, see, I watched the show. I think it was called, like, Polygamous or Polygamy. It was something on Showtime years ago. And it was really about couples who have open relationships. And it was so fucking different. I mean, it was all white people. It was not any black people. But it was, like, married couples who were living with other married couples. And they was all swapping stuff and just having all kind of sex. It was just so weird. So I don't think it's just it's a white thing, but I think people assume that. But seeing the show showed me that there are more people in this world who don't mind sharing their person. I'm not sharing my person. That ain't happening when I get married or when I'm dating somebody. It's only me and you. And if you try to bring somebody in, I'm cutting somebody. I'm not gonna cut nobody. That's not true. But I can't. I couldn't be in an open relationship. No, it would not work. Anywho, so they're like, well, is that really a bad thing, or was it really progressive that they're able to be open and honest about their situations? So of course, Issa like, well, yeah, because they're being honest about stuff and no one's cheating and no one's moving out. Basically bringing up her Lawrence. And Kelly like, no, bitch, that's just you. We ain't talking about you right now. And they're like, but would you sleep with him, since he has an open marriage? And she's like, no, this is Dro, from high school. I've known him for so long. We're friends. Plus, he's married. No. And they were like, well, okay, what if it wasn't Dro? What if it was a random person who you met who had an open marriage? Would you be open to sleeping with them then? And she was like, I don't know. Just a very confusing situation. And that is I would not sleep with my friend who has an open marriage. So back to Lawrence with his threesome with the two white chicks. So the next scene is Lawrence in bed fucking these two. Well, one white girl was riding him, and one white girl was riding his dick, and the other white girl was riding his face. I mean, they be having some real little sexy. It is HBO, but I mean, damn. Okay, you gonna just have Lawrence in the bed with a white bitch coochie over over his face, and I was thrown off. Like, okay, this is like a real ass sex scene. And the one white girl who was fucking him, she's like, oh yeah, your black cock feels so good, and my white, I can't think she said either white vagina or white pussy. I can't remember which one she said. But I'm like, why you gotta bring up that his dick is white and your vagina is black? I mean, why you gotta bring up that his dick is black and your vagina is white? Like, why can't his dick just feel good regardless of what color it is? Because last I checked, let me not go there. Anywho, so, she's talking very dirty. Yeah, fill me up. Yeah, make me squirt. All this extra dirty talk. And some men like dirty talk. I think dirty talk makes some men come faster. So she's like, yeah, I'm about to come. And he's like, oh, okay. So then they both climax. The other girl, so the one girl gets off, and the other girl climbs on, okay, I'm next. And she ready to go. And Lawrence is like, oh, okay. And what can't happen? Lawrence dick is soft. Lawrence not hard right now. And he needs a minute. So she's like, oh, this is dumb. It's soft. And he's like, well, yeah, you know, just give me a minute. I have to get it back hard. And then she was like, well, he was like, yeah, I just came. And she's like, why did you come? And he was like, because we were fucking. I mean, I would assume if I'm sleeping with a girl, if I'm sleeping with someone and we're having sex, the point of it is to come. You didn't tell me not to come because I was finna fuck the other girl. That ain't what you told me. And again, this is probably his first threesome, so he don't know the rules and the regulations of threesomes. But at the same time, hell, if he came, then you should know you have to do things to get him back hard. So that's just a part of life. So he's like, you know, just give me a minute, I can get it back up. So he's sitting there, and I think he was jacking himself off a little bit. My thing is, if this is a threesome, one of y'all is supposed to give him head. Like, y'all supposed to help him get his dick back hard. That's just, I mean, I'm not an idiot, and I'm not the, you know, police of threesomes, but I'm just assuming that's the law. That's what you're supposed to do. And as he's jacking himself off, they just looking at him like, and he's like, y'all gonna stare at me? She was like, yeah, you know, it shouldn't be that hard. Then she said, what's the problem? We've been with a bunch of black guys who can come and keep going. He's like, a bunch? What's a bunch? This is what I told you, Lawrence. You brought these random white chicks back to your crib who done fuck random black guys because they like black cock, as we can see, and they just wanted you to have sex with them because you're black. That was the whole point of it. And as he's sitting there, they're like, remember that time we had sex with LaMarcus? Oh yeah, that was so good. He had no problem getting back hard. They didn't climb off the bed. We should go to a restaurant, because we went that night. We had sex with LaMarcus. It was so good. They then pull out cocaine and start sniffing cocaine. And the whole time Lawrence is in the bed looking at them like these two white girls is talking about another black man they fucked while getting some food and snorting cocaine in my bedroom. That is when you know shit got real. So that's how that scene went off, with him looking at them, had this conversation naked in his bedroom, talking about cocaine and LaMarcus dick and how he was able to get it back up. And as we see, Lawrence can't get it back up. That part was crazy. So we see that whole scene, and then we see them back at the party with Molly, Kelly, and Issa, and they are about to leave. So Molly walks up to Dro, like, yeah, we're about to leave now. And he's like, oh, okay, so what do you guys want to do? Oh, we're going to get some food. And he's like, well, no, what about after that? She's like, well, I don't know, I guess I'm going to go home. And he's like, can I text you later? And then she's like, you know, yeah, that'll be okay. I'm like, she might sleep with this man. She might fuck her friend who has this open relationship. So they go to this restaurant because they're meeting up with the guy that Kelly met at this party. And he has a table for them and everything. So they get to this restaurant and, you know, they go sit down at the table. And then who does Issa see sitting across from her? Not across from her at the same table, but across from her in the same restaurant. It's Daniel. I'm like, is it the only restaurant open tonight? Is the only one? Okay, well, fine. So they're sitting across from each other, and she's like, oh, shit, okay, Daniel's here. So we then see Lawrence, and he's on his phone. He's also sitting in his car, and he's talking to Chad about the threesome. So Chad called, like, you know, did you do it? Is it still going on? And he's like, well, if I was in the middle of it, you think I would answer my phone? So Chad's like, well, how did it go? And he's like, yo, he's like, wasn't it great? He's like, oh, yeah, it was really good. You know, I fucked them both. It was great. And he's just talking, and Chad is in a bathroom with like a bathroom attendant, and he's like taking all the stuff. He's getting breath mints. He's getting cotton swab. Just picking up stuff off the thing. But he ain't tipping no boy nothing from all the stuff he's taking off the counter. But he's talking in front of this bathroom attendant. He's like, yeah, you know, you are the man. You picked up 2 white hoes from the grocery store and fucked them. Yeah, that's the shit. You know, I told you was going to be out here bagging hoes. And Lawrence like, yeah, man, you know, it was really great. Well, all right, you know, I got to go. I'll talk to you later. And they hang up the phone. We see where's Lawrence at, because he's in his car. Lawrence is parked outside Issa's apartment. He went back to where he probably feels the best at, and that's back with Issa. Well, not even back with Issa, but something familiar. I guess when you have a threesome with 2 white girls who are in your bedroom snorting cocaine, you want to get back to something familiar. So he just was parked outside. He didn't go in. He wasn't at her apartment, but he was parked outside of the apartment complex. And he does end up pulling off. He doesn't call her or go in or anything like that. So the last scene of the night is the ladies are at this restaurant still. Molly gets a text from Dro, and he's like, you know, where y'all at? What y'all doing? she's like, we still at the restaurant, but we finishing up. And he like, oh, well, you want some company? And she paused, and at first she was going to say, well, I don't know, maybe. And then she deleted that out. She was like, well, no, I got to do some traveling, so I need to get some rest. And so she doesn't go out with Dro and fuck Dro, which is good. So we see Kelly talking to the guy who she met. She's like, if we were to go out, what would you cook me to eat? And then she stops talking. And I'm like, why the fuck did she just stop talking? So Issa's sitting in between Kelly and her dude is on that side. Molly's on the other side. And some of the guy is talking to Molly about fucking Lion King. And Issa's looking around like, why did she just stop talking? But you see, Kelly is looking at the guy looking at Kelly. And she's like, yep, it's a cheat day. Yep, that's why I got this vote. It's a cheat day. And we see she's kind of, keeping herself composed. And the guy just kind of facing her, looking at her. And it gets pretty awkward. And I say in my head, is Kelly getting finger fucked under the goddamn table? So at this same moment, Issa and Daniel is trying to get Issa's attention. And they're kind of looking back and forth. So then he picks up his phone. He sends Issa a text. He's like, yo, is your friend getting finger fucked under the table? And sure enough, she getting finger fucked under that table. And that's why she was quiet. Because now she's trying to control her breaths. And everyone knows what it's like when somebody is getting finger fucked somewhere. Because we've all watched porn before. It is what it is. But who the fuck gets finger fucked at a table full of people? If we ever out together and you getting finger fucked, don't do that shit at the table with me. Because I'm going to cuss you out and I'm going to call you out. Just don't. I don't know. Take your freaky ass somewhere else. Or do that when you're on a date by yourself when no one else is at the table with you. So, Daniel and Issa are both laughing at Kelly getting finger fucked at this goddamn restaurant. And nobody is fully aware of it. But it's happening at the same goddamn time. So, at that point, Issa gets her food. She picks up her plate. And she walks across the restaurant. And she goes and she sits down with Daniel. And Molly watches her walk over there. And Kelly not paying no attention because Kelly's getting finger fucked under the goddamn table. And that's how the episode goes off, with Issa having a conversation, or at least eating with Daniel. Between Lawrence not getting arrested and not getting murdered, Kelly getting finger fucked under the table while she was asking somebody about making food for her, Lawrence having a threesome with these two random ass white girls, and the two white girls doing cocaine. This episode was kind of fucking crazy. And even Molly thinking about sleeping with her friend who has an open relationship. A lot. So, this is my review for Insecure Season 2, Episode 4, Hella LA. If you have not done so already, please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. It does not cost you anything. Just hit the subscribe button and it lets you know when I have new videos. You can also like my videos and share my videos. And as always, put a comment in the comment section below. So, I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner. Until next time, people.